Hey Trianum team, we're here today to talk about the Curaplex Curabronch Elite single-use disposable bronchoscope, as well as its HD monitor. So let's really quickly start with the monitor. We have the power button here at the top. From all the way off, it's going to take 30 seconds for the monitor to boot up. So in a demo situation or an evaluation, we recommend having the monitor in sleep mode so it has an instantaneous startup. On the side here, we've got two HDMI ports, allowing for the bronchoscope to be attached to the monitor. You'll notice upon attaching, you immediately have a live view of the camera at the end of the bronchoscope. Just a quick orientation to the monitor here. There's a few buttons that are worth pointing out. You are able to capture video or image from the monitor directly, but we'll also talk about a way to do that from the scope handle. There's a way to adjust the settings if you want to change the brightness or the contrast of the scope. And you can also zoom in if you'd like. Anytime you want to get back to the live view, you just push that I button here at the top. Talking about the scope itself, we'll start here with the control lever. This control lever is going to move the distal end of the scope 180 degrees. It only moves in one plane, up and down. Here is our barbed suction connector. This swivels 180 degrees, allowing for suction setup in any direction that works for the end user. To demonstrate, you may use a sputum trap and attach it to the barbed suction here. Then you would connect the suction tubing to the vacuum regulator, typically on the wall, allowing for suction of secretions that are from the patient's airway. The gray button directly below the suction port will allow for a photo or a video to be taken. A quick click is going to trigger the monitor to ask for a patient ID. For demo purposes, you can enter any number or letter combination you'd like. If this were implemented into a hospital, you'd follow hospital policy. But that allows the image or the video to be associated with an individual patient. A longer hold, about 1.5 seconds, will trigger a video. You'll see the record button in the upper corner, as well as a clock underneath the video. To stop the capture, you simply do the long hold again, 1.5 seconds, and the video will end the recording. Continuing down the scope, we have the biopsy valve. This valve allows you to instill a solution either through a slip-tip syringe or a luer lock syringe. When the biopsy valve is closed, a slip-tip syringe can be inserted directly to the valve. When you open the valve, you're able to insert a tool down the working channel. And to use a luer lock syringe, you'd remove the valve entirely and screw the syringe on at the luer lock. You'll want to make sure to replace the cap and close it if you're looking to suction after you've instilled saline or another solution through a luer lock syringe. Directly below the biopsy valve is our rotation knob. This rotation knob allows the distal end of the insertion tube to articulate to the right or to the left. If you turn it 90 degrees to the left, you'll now be in a different plane than you were when you were facing forward. This prevents the user to have to over-manipulate their wrist in order to navigate more difficult or challenging sections of the lung. Below our rotation knob is our endotracheal tube retainer. This allows the bronchoscope user to intubate with the bronchoscope. Simply by sliding the endotracheal tube down the insertion tube and attaching it to the retainer, now the intubator is able to have two hands to navigate the bronchoscope and find the correct airway landmarks in order to intubate on the patient. On the slim scope, the same ET tube retainer can also hold an entry catheter, which is a tube exchange device that can slide over the end of the bronchoscope and then be removed when needed for a procedure. The insertion tube has a nice texture on it that allows the user to advance and retract the scope without any complications, even when there's lubricant on the scope to help with its advancement. Down the insertion tube are depth markings every 100 millimeters. And on the very distal end, you'll notice the working channel as well as the camera and the light source. The very end, if we were to get a close-up view here, you'd notice that at the end of the working channel or at the end of the insertion tube, you have a working channel as well as a light and a camera. And that's what's giving you your visibility on the screen. And that is our tip-to-tail demo of the Curaplex Curabronch Elite single-use disposable bronchoscope.